Welcome to the Africa 2100 podcast, the show where we explore the future of business, innovation, and entrepreneurship on the continent. Join us as we dive into real stories, expert insights, and practical strategies to help you build, scale, and succeed. Whether you're a founder, investor, or changemaker, this is your go-to space for ideas that shape the next generation of African businesses. Let's get started.
Hello there. Quick one before we begin today's episode. We've noticed that 80% of you, our listeners, haven't hit the subscribe button yet. And we understand, sometimes you just forget. I would like you to know that subscribing is the best and totally free way to support this podcast. It helps us reach more people, grow this amazing community, and keep bringing you insightful conversations with brilliant minds across Africa and beyond. So if you're listening and learn something new each time, do us a tiny favor. Hit that subscribe button now, wherever you're tuning in from. Okay, let's get on with the episode. So Satyender has a diagnostic device which is on the cutting edge. It's revolutionizing the diagnostic space because this way you can get rapid tests, rapid results within 10 to 15 minutes across over 50. What's the count now? Is it 50 or is it 60? The number of tests?
Yeah, 60 plus now, yeah.
60 plus now, all right. And Nnamdi Nwanze is working on, and I don't know how much of that you want to share, but I will let you speak to it. But he's a data scientist. He is also faculty as well, just like you are, Satyender. And Nnamdi, I will leave you to explain what exactly you're doing, because I don't know how much of that is proprietary and how much of that you wish to put out there. So.
The methods are proprietary, but the whole idea is, can we take a picture of the eye and use that to detect cardiovascular or eye health diseases?
Awesome, Dr. Nwanze. We should talk. Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you too.
So we're here to talk about technology. There used to be a time where it wasn't nice to have to think about technology in as we start a business. There was a time when technology was secondary rather than integral. Today, it's a game changer. It's a game changer because you cannot really succeed. Probably you can to some degree, but you cannot really accelerate your journey on multiple levels if you do not find a way to leverage the technologies that we have today, whether it is the generative AI or whether generative artificial intelligence, or whether it is the data sciences, leveraging data, or whether it is blockchain, or whether it is social media, whatever it may be. I mean, we are now at a point where if you as an entrepreneur did not determine how can I leverage technology to accelerate my journey, or to grow my marketplace, then you really are restricting and limiting the journey you're going to take. So with that said, I couldn't have picked two better individuals. So these are my go-to and gurus when it comes to the exponential technologies that are going on out there. And you will hear as they tell their story and as they give us some insights into what it is they're doing and how they're doing it. So we start off by asking the question, which I know is on everybody's mind, because it seems to be such a buzzword today: AI, use of AI. What is AI, and why is it as revolutionary as we're being made to believe? Nnamdi, you want to get us started? And then I will.
Sure. AI is what I've been doing for quite a long time. So, in the basic sense, AI, artificial intelligence, it is a tool right now, a tool that we can use in order to do quite a few things. one, help automate tasks, do some data science for us. And I'd say it's a game changer because in the olden days, in order to do some of the things AI can do right now, you humans had to do themselves. So let's say you wanted to do some analytics for your business, you need to collect that data yourself, you need to sanitize the data, you've got to run some diagnostics. But now AI has leveled the playing field, so everyone has access to it. All you have to do is maybe pull up your favorite browser on your device and say, hey, go grab some data for me, clean the data up, run some diagnostics for me, and then give me the results. So it's a game changer.
Satyendra, you have your perspectives on this?
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for having me, Chudi, and putting me in touch with Dr. Nwanze. So I think he already explained it. Artificial intelligence today we just becoming part and parcel of our life. But in general, what it is it's been there quite a while already. All we are doing is training machines to do our jobs better. And think about weather predictions has been happening for a long time. How do you think that happens, right? You all want to see whether rain will happen today or not. But where does that come from? It's not a magic. It's just the intelligence gathered from crunching data. And now the advancement of AI into generative AI, which is a little bit different. It's not just intelligence based off of data existed. It's actually now intelligence which is new. So I feel like we are into an uncharted territory where we don't even know where it will go. Maybe we will reach the space where it will become AGI, the just the automated, the intelligence which we think which is not possible, the things which we think as human beings and machines are not trained to do, that can happen one day. So in my mind, AI has taken a leap into something different. Intelligence have been there for a long time, and it's nothing much but machines are learning to do our jobs and doing it better than humans.
How is this, whether AI or the other technologies that we're now embracing, how have they reshaped the modern business or business of today?
It used to be the technology has to be thought about doing a business, but I think it's now part and parcel of building a business. Think about a simple example. When we talk about computers, it's all about, you have to have a laptop or a desktop, or think about the servers or cloud. Now it's all being formed into phones. So if you want to open a website, you probably will say, okay, I will open it on the phone. I will do everything through messages, or I will do the Wi-Fi enabled chats or calls, or voice enabled calls. So all of that is now happening through phone. So phone is a new computer. So if you are building a business, an application, would you still build a web app or still build a website for it? Or you would make that application compatible to be run on the phone? It's a very simple example, but that's what the consideration for businesses are must, because the utility of technology by the users have changed.
So before you answer, Namdi, the other aspects, can a business be successful without technology today?
I think they can, and it'll depend on the market. I think product business where you're just selling products and like a restaurant, they could use technology, or even a plumber. A plumber uses technology to get customers, but
Yeah.
do they really need technology to do their work? AGI comes about, and we have our AI intelligence, doing everything. I think plumbing and carpentry, artisan work will still be things humans do. 'Cause it's hard for an AI to unclog a toilet. But where AI is right now, I think it'll take a while for an AI to unclog a toilet. So things like that, I think AI technology is hard to put into there. But if we're talking, hey, I want my business to scale, to grow, I think it's very extremely hard not to use technology in your business. And if you think about Facebook, everyone has Facebook right now. I think the last count I looked at was over 2 billion users on Facebook. But the original Facebook was just the yearbook at Harvard. You know, a book, like a physical book. But now with technology, it's grown to over 2 billion users globally. Like, would that have happened without technology? Definitely not.
So what I'm hearing from you is, if you're thinking long-term growth, then it will be almost impossible to not consider technology or how you can leverage technology, except for those in the physical space where you need to, like, you give a plumber who's declogging, or who you need to fix something in your bathroom. But from a scaling perspective, Satyender, can you share how are you leveraging technology to scale your business, or how is it instrumental in the business you're running today?
Well, so as Dr. Nwanze said, I feel like scaling or not, technology is just there. It's not. It's no longer a choice. I mean, even calling a plumber, you need to still use a phone. They can take money in cash, but can they? Can we still go to that? We have to find somebody in neighborhood to call somebody to go fix our stuff. I don't think, very few, rare it is rare for me to see any work which is not being impacted or not requiring technology. In my world, it's all technology. I'm primarily working in healthcare. My current business, which is medical device, as Chudi you mentioned, we are building a medical device which is dependent on technology, from electronics to mechanical to the software. So all combination of that come together in providing a basic thing which is healthcare to people. So we're trying to figure out if a person needs care or not, and that is all done through technology. And when the person needs care, we connect person to doctor through technology again. And once the doctor have seen the patient, provided the prescription, again we use technology to order medicine. So ultimately, the process is finding care for a patient, but to get to that whole thing, we use, I would say, probably hundreds of different type of technologies to get that process completed. So it is, because of technology now we are able to scale that to provide care not to one patient, but actually 100,000 patients. Just because uh, everybody can join, everybody can call doctors remotely, the screening can happen in their comfort. But the scaling can only happen because technology is available to us. We can use the bandwidth or the cloud infrastructure to be able to host that many calls concurrently. Again, technology, if that was not available, we probably wouldn't be able to serve people today we can. Just one example of my own.
What about you, Nnamdi? How are you leveraging technology in your business?
So one of the things we're doing, so we fund startups all across Africa. Without technology, we'd have to go to every country and then talk individually to these companies and ask them how their business is doing, and in order to figure out which companies we should fund or which companies we shouldn't fund, right? But with technology, we can now meet over a Zoom call, ask a startup, hey, could you send us your data? How much sales are you doing? Just grab all their data and then make a decision that way and plug it into an AI tool that will run some analysis in order for us to make the best decision. So that's using technology across Africa, not just in one place in Africa. So it's hard to do anything without technology these days.
Satyender, what are some of the important technologies that's helping startups expand global?
The way to look at technology is the user base matters, right? So what are you into the business of? And when you talk about international expansion, technology has made it easier in terms of that you can use a SaaS, or you can use cloud, or you can use some of these digital technology to be able to mitigate those gaps which were difficult. Meaning, you can get to those same user bases which you are probably already are used to in your own current demographics to be able to expand globally. But at the in the global scenario, you still need to understand the cultures, the languages, the compliances, and the the demographic in general, the challenges which they face. So the technology which can be leveraged today is these platforms which actually are building how to hire an employee internationally, how to, let's say, their organization called EOR, employer of record. So you don't have to actually hire somebody on your payrolls, and you can hire somebody in the same country in that payroll, because that's very difficult to comply with opening an HR portfolio everywhere. Technologies like, as I already mentioned, building a software which can be hosted in that country. You don't have to worry about now finding a server, cloud, or different provider who is local to that region. You can use the same provider but use the storage space or the servers in that particular country. So the it's a without this it the context matter what kind of business you are on. But I think the hiring right people, the platforms which can provide you that support, the cloud-based infrastructure which can provide you the expansion you need, and then just looking at the product you are trying to sell, e-commerce is being very easy. So I would say it's all becoming soft technology in my mind.
So when you say cloud-based technology, what does that mean?
Let's take an example of something more local, something indigenously built. For example, I built this medical device, which is hardware in a technology centric way, and it has its own computer. Now, if I had to use the local computer in that uh, hardware, I can only provide connection or the value add to the person who's physically available there. But now I have to, if I want to connect somebody who's using that system to a professional who's sitting into another country, then I have to use a system which is available into both places. That's what the cloud means, meaning cloud made it possible for that system to be connecting into different demographics, if that answers the question. So when I say cloud, it just means that the availability of the same system in different places without changing your hosting, or without changing that physical location of that product.
Thank you for that clarification. Namdi, are there any strategies that you would recommend to those who are trying to use digital marketing and social media to build a global presence?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say the number one thing you should do is research your market. Find out who your target audience is for your product. If you're trying to sell something to people that don't need it, you're obviously going to fail, right? So there are lots of social media platforms out there. So I'd say the next part of your leveraging technology is to find the right platform. So I think TikTok has been known for dancing, right? So if your product can reach out to people that dance, hey, go for TikTok. Most people don't think of YouTube as a social media platform, but it is. So post videos on YouTube. WhatsApp is pretty popular outside the US. So if you're going to try to get a market within the US, maybe WhatsApp isn't your best bet there, right? But outside the US, go with WhatsApp. So picking the right social media platform is paramount. So once you've targeted your audience, you know what social media platform they're on. Now is the time to be agile and figure out, hey, how can you get your product or service to them, and in how many different ways that you can get your product and service to them. It doesn't have to be through one platform. So leverage technology and try to expand with different venues.
So, Satyendra, to continue down that same theme, I seem to be hearing that there are cultural aspects to the technology and how the technology is adopted or will be adopted. Is there any specific experience you've had that kind of tells that story for the cultural sensitivities that one needs to have with the technology you're using?
The context was the expansion into the global territory, right? So people don't find out is the or don't think about when you expand into a different demographic jurisdiction, cultures of those particular areas matter, even for the things which are common for people. For example, food. Let's just take an example of if you are used to eating a burger at McDonald's in US, and I'm from India, you go to India and you would want to have the same experience in McDonald's in India, you would be disappointed because it is not the same. Or vice versa. If you ever had a visit to McDonald's in India and you come to a US and happily thinking about you'll get the same thing, you wouldn't. And the reason they are successful in the under the same brand into different demographics is because they did think about the culture adoption, and they made it so. So culture matters. And in my experience, when I built the medical device, the first thing I did was I brought it from US to India as a prototype device to study the market. And I realized the thing which has been very successful and used by millions of people in US was not considered useful in India. And the reason being is because we in US are used to preventive care. We are part of our normal life, routine life, to get the annual checkups done. That's not the case in India. The normal routine preventive care or the checkups on annual basis or regular basis is not the norm. So that's just what I mentioned. The cultures matter, how people are used to it, how do they look at the technology or solutions. So you really need to look at the domestic or the local area to expand your product.
Are there any startups you can think of or you can share with us, Nnamdi, that have successfully used technology to expand international?
There was a startup that was able to expand mostly because they were able to learn from, well, it's hard to call them a startup because most people think of Google as not a startup. I had a former startup where we're doing directions just like Google Maps does. And so we learned that in Nigeria, folks use maps differently, just like Satyender said, different cultures around the globe. So Google's map solution in Nigeria was to say, hey, take the number 5 bus, go from, and take the number 5 bus in Main and First, and then take it to Second and North Street. Um, except that, hey, this isn't how most Nigerians use directions, right? They're more likely to say, hey, take the local bus at the McDonald's by the church, and then about 30 minutes, take it to the KFC by the other church or some other landmarks. So they're using landmarks in order to figure out where to go and get directions. And this was one thing that our startup was doing with directions in Nigeria, and then we now had to teach Google how to make those changes to their map system. And after doing that, more people started using Google Maps because no one was using Google Maps. We actually took a survey and found out that very, very, very few people in Nigeria were using Google Maps because of that. They didn't. They had the technology, but they weren't leveraging on the local custom of Nigerians there. So after teaching them how to do it, there was an uptick in usage of Google Maps. So that'll be one good example of, you know, what Satyendra was just preaching. Hey, you need to learn the local customs.
Thanks for that. So, Tiene, the other side of that coin, are there companies or are there mistakes that companies have made in trying to leverage technology or introduce technology for their growth internationally or their scaling that you can share with us? Let us know those things we shouldn't make, those mistakes that we should avoid.
Of course. So the very key thing comes to my mind is not technological, but the idea is that people think technology is one which requires culture adoption and scaling up internationally or globally. The in the key in my mind is people ignore the fact that it's the people behind making this technology available to stakeholders or clients to use. So more often when the businesses scale, they don't think about building the local leadership. So, and that's what have been the reason, in my experience, of failures for many of these big enterprises, not even small companies, uh, to not be able to get the same success which they might have gotten in domestic market when they expand globally. So, not only that you need to hire local people, you need to hire an independent leadership who actually can run, unless the uh, you yourself move to that particular country, learn about the culture and the adoption, the requirements, and then build or customize your product for that, catering to that population. So the leadership is more important. You don't not only need to duplicate the leadership in domestic and the global market as you do it in domestic, you also have to duplicate the same thing for your business model. Business models also do not just work as it is. You can't take the business model from one country into another. Innovation has to happen, because you need to figure out what's the how technology is being used. As the previous example I gave, the phones which are used, maybe we are used to iPhone proliferation in West, and we have 80-90% of iPhone users in US and Europe. If you go to countries like India, you probably have fraction of that. So meaning, if you were primarily building everything iPhone centric, it may not work in the platform, because you don't have that adoption of users of that platform. So you might have to be heavily relied on the other operating system, or not. So business model, leadership, technology platforms which people are used to, or the medium which they interact with your tool, has to be customized for that particular region, and that have been failure for a lot of enterprises when they expand.
I'll also add infrastructure to that list. Some places, like in the US, electricity is a constant, right? Whereas you go to Nigeria or some other countries and you have to provide your own electricity. And that has been a problem for some startups, even some larger companies, where they go to a new market, electricity isn't a constant, and they now have to say, okay, we had this much budget. Now we've got to use this much budget for fuel, for solar panels, or some alternative energy as well.
So as you both know, we have Africa 2100. We have multiple cohorts, and one of the things I observe, and most a good number of these cohorts are in uh, away from the urban areas. One of the things I observe is that technology is not prevalent in most of their solutions. My question to each of you is, what would be the low hanging fruits? Yes, they all have devices, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to engage in a community which is online and which leverages WhatsApp. But beyond the device, them having a device and being able to communicate, are there some low hanging fruits from a technology perspective that you will recommend that they consider?
It depends on what you're looking for. The best part is, today, all of the platforms which are technology enabled, including cloud infrastructure or any of these SaaS companies, they themselves becoming a middleware for businesses to proliferate, or businesses to expand themselves. And they are looking for these new ideas which they can serve to. So for people who are starting technology enabled businesses, they should look out for these kind of, or they should actually go and check what are the middleware platforms which can accelerate their own offering into a different demographics, or even in their own demographics. So platforms as a middleware to be adopted for expanding their business outreach, whether locally or outside market. So I think that would be my recommendations. And look for the programs they do offer for startups, for um, at credits, free credits. All of that are available for not only startups. If you are type of startups like a non-profit or for profit, that matters as well. So infrastructure, middlewares, and also the compliance consultants. There are a lot of these resources and services available, which are mostly have tiers, and most of them have a free tier, which could be useful.
But these are predominantly non-technology businesses. I don't know if your recommendation changes as a result of that. These are businesses that have nothing to do with technology. And given what we said about in today's world, you need to figure out how to leverage technology. There's some low hanging technologies that these individuals should be encouraged to adapt or to look at or to incorporate into their businesses, whether it is from a productivity perspective, a global reach perspective, or a marketing perspective.
I didn't mean them to use these platforms as middlewares for their technology. It's for any business. Let's say you want to sell an artisan handloom or artisan product which is built in Africa. You still need e-commerce, you need some store, you need to be able to transact into a different demographic. So what that means is these technologies are available as a platform to make your business grow and become available in the wherever in the reach of your clients, the potential clients.
That's helpful. Namdi, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
As a data, scientist, I'm going to have a data scientist bent to it. So, one of the things you could always do is figure out, hey, who's your market, right? You could be a plumber, right? But who ha- who needs plumbing? Technology will be a good place to now figure out where within your region who needs the plumbing, how you could get to those places, and that's pretty low hanging fruit. Even signing up for social media, that's low hanging fruit, where you could reach more people to now spread your business by word of mouth. So sign up for social media platforms, advertise yourself on them. And going back to the research aspect is, hey, if if you've got a standard plunger as a plumber, is there a better plunger out there where you could do the same amount of work for half the amount of time, which will now let you get to more customers over the day, over the month, over the year. So these are things that you could just type in the search into any search engine. You'd Google, Bing, say, hey, where can I get a better plumber? Better plunger, right? Or where can I get cheaper materials for my platform, for my business? Just really simple things you could do to to drop your costs and now expand your market just by doing those little few things. So really, really simple things that most startups, whether they're tech enabled or not tech enabled, can do.
Thank you, Namdi. Today's conversation has given us incredible insights into how technology is transforming business and unlocking global opportunities from cloud computing and AI to digital marketing and remote teams. The tools are all there. It's really up to the entrepreneur to use them strategically. Technology, as you heard earlier on, is a critical enabler of business growth and market expansion. Leveraging digital tools, be it AI, automation, it's all enables you enhance the efficiency and scalability of your venture. Global markets are accessible through e-commerce, fintech, digital marketing strategies. We just need to make sure we take the time to understand the cultural, the regulatory, operational challenges, and that will be the key to your success, no matter which parts of the world, which geographic location you're looking at or trying to expand into. And that's what Satyender and Nnamdi have shared with us. Before we go, though, I would love for each one of my guests to share one final piece of advice to entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their businesses globally through by leveraging technology.
So my final piece of advice is what I started with. Um, before one ventures wants to venture outside into demographics, please, as a leader, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, go and visit learn about that market, the regulatory differences, the cultural requirements, the way the utilities happen, the client, the persona, and spend time in the market to be able to launch the product. So it's not uh, for most, it's not going to be as easy expansion as just pick and drop. It probably altogether different life cycle. You probably have to do the same thing which you do when you start the business. You have to go from MVP to the market testing to the growth and scale. So my one single point of recommendation is go study the market before launch.
He hit it right on the nail. Only thing I'll add is don't study too much. Be agile and don't be afraid to adopt technologies. No one makes the best decision the first time around. So if you're new to technology, do some research. Figure out which technology is best to use. Well, not best, but can be used right there, and then just jump into it. If it doesn't work, you move to the next piece. If that doesn't work, you move to the next, and it's just that iterative process that most startups have to go through. Like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, those weren't built in a day. They have made missteps, and they continue to make missteps even today. So what they are doing is going out and trying things. So pick a technology, go with it. If it doesn't work, learn from your mistakes. Pick the next best tool and whether it be mobile payments, digital payments, better tools, different social media platforms, just go pick one, run with it. But always, like Satyender said, do your research first and then just run with the tool and then grow from there.
Thank you both. What a way to close this out, from Satyender talking about don't overlook your personnel. Make sure you have the right individuals, and don't overlook the local elements and the local context, as well as Nnamdi talking about don't be afraid to experiment. Test. Not all tools work in the same way for everybody. So make sure you are trying to figure out which one works the best with what you're trying to do. And that brings us to the end of season 1 of the Africa 2100 podcast. It's been an exciting journey exploring entrepreneurship, strategy, and innovation. Thank you for being part of this season. If you found value in this episode, share it with someone and help them as they try to scale their business. Go back and re-listen to previous episodes. There is so much insight packed into this season. And if you want to see another season, show your support by subscribing and sharing your thoughts with us. Till next time, goodbye.
That's it for today's episode of the Africa 2100 podcast. If you found value in this conversation, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more insights on building and scaling your startup, stay connected with us. Until next time, keep innovating, keep building, and let's shape the future of African business.